The first warning came as a barely perceptible shimmer at the edge of human detection. Long-range sensors at the Global Space Monitoring Center first captured the anomaly, a distortion in the fabric of space that suggested something massive was preparing to emerge. Dr. Elena Martinez leaned closer to the holographic display, her breath catching in her throat as the initial readings began to coalesce into something comprehensible. The astronomy team had been tracking unusual gravitational fluctuations for weeks, but nothing could have prepared them for what was about to unfold. Most dismissed the early warnings as statistical anomalies or equipment malfunction. But Elena knew better. She had spent her entire career studying the possibilities of extraterrestrial life, and this was different from anything she had ever seen. As the first massive crystalline ships began to materialize, the world's communication networks erupted in a cacophony of confusion and terror. The vessels defied every known principle of physics. Their surfaces seemed to shift and breathe, reflecting light in impossible geometric patterns that hurt the human eye to comprehend. They were not simply machines or ships. They were something more, living technology that seemed to pulse with an alien intelligence. The global military response was immediate, but hopelessly outmatched. Fighter jets scrambled from bases across the continents, their advanced radar systems struggling to lock onto the alien vessels. Missile defense systems powered up, only to find their targeting systems completely paralyzed. The invading ships moved with a precision that suggested they were reading and neutralizing human technological capabilities in real time. Underground command centers buzzed with frantic activity. Generals and political leaders watched in horror as major communication satellites went dark, one by one. The initial assault wasn't a bombardment or a traditional invasion. It was a systematic dismantling of human technological infrastructure. Power grids flickered and died, cellular networks collapsed, and global positioning systems became nothing more than expensive paperweights. In major cities, the first signs of invasion began as strange, biomechanical constructs descended from the sky. They weren't traditional spacecraft or landing vehicles. They were living machines that seemed to flow and reshape themselves as they moved. Metallic tendrils extended, probing buildings, communication towers, and technological installations. Where these tendrils touched, technology simply ceased to function. The United Nations emergency session descended into chaos. Representatives from every corner of the globe watched live feeds showing cities going dark, military installations falling silent, and communication networks collapsing. There was no dramatic bombardment, no traditional declaration of war, just a methodical, almost clinical dismantling of human technological capabilities. Dr. Martinez continued to track the invasion from the monitoring center, her hands moving across holographic interfaces with a mixture of scientific curiosity and mounting terror. The alien vessels weren't just attacking. They were studying, analyzing, preparing for something more. Each movement seemed calculated, each action a precision instrument of technological suppression. Military responses proved futile within hours. Advanced fighter jets fell from the sky, their electronic systems completely neutralized. Naval vessels became floating monuments to human technological vulnerability. Tanks and ground vehicles stood motionless, their complex computer systems rendered useless by the alien technological interference. The invasion was not about destruction, it was about total control. The Zornak approached Earth like researchers examining a new specimen, systematically removing any potential resistance before making their true intentions known. They saw humanity as nothing more than another resource to be cataloged, controlled, and potentially harvested. As night fell across the planet, billions of people looked to the sky with a mixture of terror and incomprehension. The alien ships hung like impossible crystals, their surfaces shifting and breathing with an alien life of their own. Communication was impossible. Defense seemed futile. The world held its collective breath, waiting to understand the true nature of this invasion. Nobody could have predicted what would happen next. Nobody could have anticipated the human response that would soon challenge everything the Zornak believed about technological superiority and the nature of intelligent life. The first day of the invasion had ended, but humanity's true story was just beginning. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a converted Cold War-era bunker, a last-minute refuge of hope flickered to life. The underground research facility had been designed decades ago as a sanctuary for critical scientific and military personnel, but no one had ever imagined it would house humanity's last line of defense against an alien invasion. Dr. Elena Rodriguez adjusted her cracked glasses, her hands moving with a desperate precision across a makeshift workstation cobbled together from salvaged equipment. Around her, a team of specialists from every conceivable background worked with an intensity born of pure survival instinct. Military strategists stood shoulder to shoulder with quantum physicists. Computer engineers collaborated with linguists, and former rivals now shared a single unified purpose. Colonel Jack Harper studied the holographic display, his weathered fingers tracing the intricate patterns of alien technological signals. A career military strategist who had seen conflicts across the globe, he now faced the most unprecedented challenge in human history. The aliens' technological superiority was obvious, but Harper had learned long ago that technology was never the whole story. "We're not looking at this correctly," he muttered, catching Rodriguez's attention. "These signals, they're not just communication. They're something more." The bunker hummed with a mixture of salvaged human technology and carefully dissected alien equipment. Captured communication devices lay dismantled across workstations, their impossible geometries challenging everything humans understood about technological design. Each piece was a puzzle, and this team was determined to solve it. Sarah Chin, a brilliant network security expert, had been working non-stop for nearly 48 hours. Her fingers flew across multiple interfaces, creating complex algorithmic filters designed to penetrate the alien communication networks. "Their technology is adaptive," she explained to a group of listening scientists. "But adaptation implies a pattern. And patterns can be understood. Patterns can be broken." The team's diversity was their greatest strength. Military personnel from different continents brought tactical knowledge. Scientists from various disciplines approached the problem from multiple angles. Where traditional thinking would have failed, this group's collective creativity began to find cracks in the alien technological armor. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Marcus Williams, a linguist specializing in communication theory, noticed something peculiar about the alien signal patterns. "It's not just a language," he explained, pointing to complex holographic representations. "It's a form of technological communication that follows strict logical parameters. But logic can be predictable, and predictability is a weakness." Colonel Harper leaned in, his military mind seeing the tactical implications. "If we can understand their communication patterns, we can potentially disrupt their coordination." The team worked in shifts, pushing human endurance to its absolute limits. They discovered that the Zornak technology, for all its advanced capabilities, operated on a fundamentally different principle than human technology. Where human systems were designed with multiple redundancies and flexible problem-solving approaches, the alien technology was highly specialized and rigidly structured. Rodriguez's team began developing a hybrid communication interface. By combining principles of human neural network design with the captured alien communication fragments, they started to create something entirely new. It wasn't about matching alien technology. It was about finding a completely different approach that the aliens couldn't anticipate. "They see us as a linear problem to be solved," Rodriguez explained during a rare moment of rest. "But human creativity doesn't follow linear paths. We adapt. We improvise. We find solutions in the spaces between what's expected." Outside the mountain bunker, the world remained under alien occupation. Cities stood silent, technological infrastructure neutralized. But inside this hidden facility, a different kind of resistance was taking shape. Each discovered alien technological fragment was a piece of a larger puzzle, and humanity was beginning to see the full picture. The first prototype of their adaptive communication system came to life near midnight. A complex algorithm that could learn, adapt, and potentially communicate with the alien network in ways the Zornak could never predict. It was more than a technological solution. It was a statement of human potential. Colonel Harper looked at the team, scientists, military personnel, experts from every conceivable background, and saw something the aliens could never understand. This wasn't just a resistance. This was humanity's true strength. The ability to unite, to innovate, to transform a seemingly impossible challenge into an opportunity for breakthrough. The first phase of their counterattack was about to begin, and the Zornak would never see it coming. The resistance began in the most unexpected places. In the ruins of Tokyo, a group of survivors transformed a damaged subway station into a communication hub. Beneath the streets of Sao Paulo, former rival gang members now worked together to intercept and decode alien transmission patterns. The mountains of Afghanistan became an unlikely sanctuary for technical experts who understood survival meant more than individual survival. It meant collective adaptation. Maya Rodriguez, a former telecommunications engineer, sat in the makeshift communications center, hidden within an abandoned industrial complex in Chile. Her team had rigged together a network of modified radio equipment, old satellite phones, and ingeniously repurposed alien communication fragments. They were no longer just surviving. They were fighting back. The Zornak had assumed human communication infrastructure would collapse completely. They didn't understand the human capacity for improvisation. Where advanced technology failed, human creativity took over. Messenger networks emerged using everything from bicycle couriers to trained carrier pigeons. Encrypted messages traveled through human networks faster than the aliens could track or understand. In the mountains of Peru, an indigenous community that had maintained traditional communication methods became a critical node in the global resistance network. Their long-standing practices of complex message passing, using everything from smoke signals to intricate textile patterns, became an unbreakable communication method that completely baffled the alien surveillance systems. A young engineer in Mumbai discovered that the aliens' communication technology relied on extremely precise frequency bands. By introducing deliberate interference, a technique borrowed from old radio hacking methods, she created communication windows that the Zornak couldn't easily detect or disrupt. What seemed like random noise to alien sensors was actually a complex messaging system. The psychological warfare was equally ingenious. The resistance understood that the Zornak viewed conflict through a lens of pure logical calculation. So they did everything to defy those calculations. Supply lines were established through seemingly random paths. Communication happened through methods that made no logical sense to a purely computational intelligence. In the ruins of New York, a team of artists and hackers created elaborate communication puzzles. Messages were embedded in street art, in seemingly random graffiti patterns, in performance pieces that looked like meaningless public displays. To human observers, they were messages of hope. To the alien systems, they were incomprehensible noise. Colonel Jack Harper's underground team began to receive fragments of information from these global resistance networks. Each transmission was a piece of a larger puzzle. The Zornak's technological superiority began to show cracks. They could neutralize advanced communication systems, but they couldn't comprehend the human ability to communicate through pure creativity. A network of university researchers who had gone into hiding began developing communication protocols that mimicked biological communication systems. Inspired by how plants communicate through underground root networks, they created a communication method that was part technological, part biological. It was something the purely technological Zornak could not easily track or understand. The resistance discovered the aliens' first critical weakness. They processed information, but they did not truly understand context. A message wasn't just about the information it contained, but about the human connection behind it. Love, hope, defiance. These were concepts that existed beyond pure logical calculation. In the Australian outback, a group of Aboriginal elders combined their traditional storytelling methods with modern communication technology. Their messages became a complex tapestry of meaning that no alien algorithm could easily decode. Each story was a message, each message a potential weapon. As weeks passed, the global resistance network grew stronger. What had started as isolated pockets of survival transformed into a complex, adaptive communication system. The Zornak had expected to find a straightforward technological challenge. Instead, they encountered something far more complex: the human spirit. Maya Rodriguez looked at the complex communication board in front of her. Pins, strings, coded messages, and seemingly random information created a web of resistance. To an outsider, it would look like chaos. To the resistance, it was a perfectly orchestrated symphony of survival. The aliens had silenced humanity's technology, but they could never silence human creativity. The mountain research facility burned with an intensity that matched the researchers' determination. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a holographic display that pulsed with lines of code more complex than any previous human technological achievement. Scattered across workstations were components of alien technology, each piece carefully dissected and understood. "We're not just reverse engineering," Rodriguez explained to her team. "We're creating something entirely new." The breakthrough came from an unexpected convergence of disciplines. Quantum physicists worked alongside neurobiologists. Computer engineers collaborated with evolutionary psychologists. They had discovered something profound about the alien technology. Its greatest strength was also its fundamental weakness. The Zornak communication and computational systems operated on a principle of absolute predictability. Each decision, each action was the result of complex, but ultimately deterministic calculations. Human neural networks, by contrast, worked differently. They were adaptive, capable of making intuitive leaps that defied pure logical progression. Dr. Michael Chen, a neural network specialist, had been working for days without sleep. His fingers moved across holographic interfaces, creating intricate algorithmic patterns that mimicked, and then transcended, the alien technological framework. "It's not about matching their technology," he muttered. "It's about understanding the space between their calculations." The first prototype emerged as a hybrid system, part advanced artificial intelligence, part adaptive neural network. It was something entirely unprecedented. The team nicknamed it the Phoenix Protocol, a system capable of learning, adapting, and evolving faster than any known computational system. Initial tests were promising. The prototype could analyze alien communication patterns in microseconds, identifying vulnerabilities that traditional systems would miss. More importantly, it could predict alien technological responses with unprecedented accuracy. Where the Zornak saw technology as a fixed system, the Phoenix Protocol understood technology as a living, breathing entity. Colonel Jack Harper watched the demonstrations with a strategist's eye. "This isn't just a technological solution," he observed. "This is a fundamental reimagining of how intelligence can work." The facility became a crucible of innovation. Researchers from every conceivable background contributed pieces to the puzzle. A marine biologist's understanding of neural network adaptation, the linguist's insights into communication patterns, a quantum physicist's comprehension of probabilistic systems. Their greatest discovery came from an unlikely source. Dr. Rosa Gonzalez, a specialist in evolutionary biology, noticed something fundamental about the alien technology. "They've optimized for efficiency," she explained, "but optimization always comes with blind spots. In nature, diversity is strength. In technology, it's the same principle." The Phoenix Protocol began to demonstrate capabilities that seemed almost magical. It could predict alien technological responses several moves in advance. More importantly, it could generate counter-strategies that were fundamentally unpredictable. The Zornak's computational systems relied on past data and logical extrapolation. The human system could imagine possibilities that existed beyond pure calculation. Testing moved from theoretical to practical. Small-scale simulations showed the protocol could penetrate alien communication networks, introduce deliberate disruptions, and create computational pathways that the aliens could not easily track or understand. "We're not just creating a weapon," Rodriguez told her team during a rare moment of shared excitement. "We're creating a new form of intelligence, something that combines human creativity with technological precision." The facility buzzed with an energy that went beyond scientific achievement. This was about survival. This was about proving that human potential could not be confined by technological limitations. Colonel Harper reviewed the initial test results. Penetration rates into alien communication networks were exponentially higher than any previous attempts. The Phoenix protocol could adapt faster than the alien systems could respond. It was learning, evolving, becoming something more than a mere computational tool. As night fell outside the mountain facility, the team continued their work. Each line of code was a weapon. Each algorithmic breakthrough was a strike against the alien invasion. They were creating something that went beyond traditional understanding of technology and intelligence. The Zornak had come to Earth expecting a straightforward technological conquest. They were about to learn that human potential defied every known computational model. The Phoenix protocol was ready, and humanity's true technological revolution was about to begin. The global transformation began almost imperceptibly. What had once seemed like insurmountable differences between nations, cultures, and ideologies melted away under the pressure of survival. The alien invasion did what no diplomatic summit, no international treaty, no shared global challenge had ever accomplished. It united humanity in a way nobody could have predicted. In Geneva, the remnants of the United Nations gathered in a secure underground facility. Representatives who had once engaged in heated debates now worked with a singular purpose. A Brazilian diplomat sat next to a Chinese military strategist. An Indian scientist collaborated with a Russian engineer. The old boundaries of nationality seemed to dissolve with each passing hour. Resources became a collective asset. Countries that had once jealously guarded technological secrets now shared every scrap of information. Research facilities that were once competing now merged their efforts. Military bases from different continents established integrated communication networks. The concept of national defense transformed into a global defense strategy. Dr. Elena Rodriguez found herself at the center of this unprecedented collaboration. Her team's technological breakthroughs were now being rapidly distributed and improved upon by researchers across the globe. What had started as a small research initiative in a mountain facility was now a worldwide collaborative effort. In the Middle East, former rival nations established joint research centers. In Africa, countries pooled their technological and human resources. The technology developed by Rodriguez's team was being adapted and improved upon by teams working in languages and cultural contexts she had never imagined. Communications networks emerged that defied traditional understanding. Satellite systems were rebuilt using a combination of salvage technology, alien communication fragments, and human ingenuity. Local networks became global networks. Community communication systems became part of a larger adaptive global communication infrastructure. Colonel Jack Harper oversaw the military coordination. Armies that had once been potential adversaries now trained together, shared intelligence, and developed integrated defense strategies. Military technology was stripped down, rebuilt, and reimagined. Every weapon, every defensive system became a collaborative project. The economic transformation was equally profound. Traditional market systems collapsed, replaced by a global resource allocation system focused on survival and resistance. Manufacturing facilities across the world retooled to produce critical technological and defensive equipment. A factory in Detroit worked in direct coordination with a research center in Tokyo, a manufacturing plant in Seoul, and a technological hub in Nairobi. Educational systems were revolutionized overnight. Universities became critical research centers. Students became contributors to the global resistance. Age, background, and previous specialization no longer mattered. What mattered was potential, creativity, and the ability to contribute. In the Amazon rainforest, an indigenous community's traditional knowledge about adaptive survival became crucial to developing new communication technologies. In the Australian outback, survival techniques developed over thousands of years informed new defensive strategies. Every human skill, every piece of knowledge became a potential weapon against the invasion. The medical community transformed its approach completely. Hospitals became research centers. Medical professionals from every specialty collaborated on understanding the physiological and technological challenges posed by the alien invasion. Treatment protocols were shared instantly across global networks. Agricultural systems were reimagined. Food production became a global priority. Countries that had once competed for agricultural resources now worked together to ensure global food security. Vertical farming techniques, developed in urban centers, were rapidly shared and implemented across different environmental contexts. Refugee management became a global, coordinated effort. People displaced by the invasion were no longer seen as a burden, but as potential contributors to the resistance. Skills were quickly identified, and individuals were integrated into the global defense and recovery effort. The psychological transformation was perhaps the most remarkable. The constant threat of extinction removed most of the previous social barriers. Cultural differences became sources of strength rather than division. The global communication networks allowed for unprecedented levels of cultural exchange and understanding. Dr. Rodriguez looked at the global communication map in the mountain facility. What had once been a collection of separate networks was now a single, adaptive, living system. It pulsed with an energy that went beyond technology. It was the manifestation of human potential. The aliens had come expecting to find a fractured, competitive species. Instead, they had triggered humanity's greatest transformation. Humanity was no longer a collection of nations. It had become a single, unified organism, ready to fight, ready to survive, ready to overcome. The first coordinated global assault began with a silence that was more terrifying than any weapon. Across multiple continents, carefully prepared strike teams moved into position. They were no longer separate military units, but a unified global defense force that had spent months studying, understanding, and preparing to exploit the alien technological weaknesses. Colonel Jack Harper stood in the underground command center, a holographic display showing the intricate assault plans. Decades of military experience had prepared him for complex operations, but nothing compared to this moment. The plan was a masterpiece of human creativity, a strategy so unconventional that it would be incomprehensible to the purely logical Zornak. The assault began simultaneously in 5 critical locations around the globe. In the Pacific, a modified naval fleet approached a massive alien command ship. The vessels looked like standard military equipment, but they were anything but ordinary. Each ship had been retrofitted with the hybrid communication technology developed by Dr. Rodriguez's team, allowing them to broadcast interference patterns that would confuse and disrupt alien sensor systems. In the Australian outback, a team of specialists had spent months creating an elaborate technological trap. Underground communication relays, developed using a combination of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien technology, created a complex web of signal disruptions. What appeared to be random electronic noise was actually a carefully constructed communication network designed to penetrate and confuse alien defenses. The European strike team operated from a network of underground facilities. Their approach was psychological as much as it was technological. They had studied alien communication patterns for months, developing an approach that would exploit the fundamental limitations in the Zornak's computational thinking. A team in the Andes Mountains launched a series of high-altitude technological attacks. Modified satellites and custom-built communication platforms created a complex electromagnetic interference pattern. To the aliens, it would appear as nothing more than random technological noise. In reality, it was a precisely calculated assault on their communication infrastructure. Dr. Elena Rodriguez monitored the global operation from the Mountain Research Facility. The Phoenix Protocol, the adaptive artificial intelligence system they had developed, was working in real time, anticipating and countering alien technological responses faster than the invaders could comprehend. The most critical aspect of the assault was its fundamental unpredictability. Human military strategy had always valued flexibility, but this was something entirely new. Each strike team could adapt its approach in real time, using an integrated communication network that the aliens could not easily track or understand. In the North Atlantic, a flotilla of ships created a complex electromagnetic interference pattern. Ships that appeared to be conducting standard naval maneuvers were actually broadcasting carefully designed signal disruptions. The Zornak defense systems, designed for precise calculation, began to show signs of confusion. The psychological warfare was equally important. Communication broadcasts included deliberately contradictory information, complex puzzles embedded in communication signals, and strategic misinformation designed to create uncertainty in the alien command structures. Colonel Harper watched as the first reports came in. The alien defensive systems were responding, but not in the way they had been programmed to respond. The human assault was so fundamentally different from any previous technological engagement that the Zornak computational systems were struggling to process and respond. "They're trying to calculate," Harper muttered to Rodriguez, "but they can't comprehend the creativity behind our approach." The global communication network hummed with an energy that went beyond traditional military communication. Each unit was both independent and part of a larger adaptive system. Information flowed not just through technological channels, but through a complex network that incorporated human intuition, creativity, and real-time adaptation. As hours passed, the true brilliance of the human strategy became apparent. This wasn't just a military assault. It was a complete reimagining of technological engagement. The Zornak had come expecting a straightforward technological conflict. Instead, they encountered a living, breathing, adaptive system that defied all their computational models. The first major alien defensive system began to show signs of breakdown. What had seemed like an impenetrable technological fortress was revealing its fundamental weakness, the inability to truly understand the complexity of human creativity. Dr. Rodriguez looked at the global communication map. What was happening wasn't just a military operation. It was a demonstration of human potential, a statement that would resonate far beyond this single conflict. The turning point of the war had begun. The communication channel opened with a burst of quantum-encrypted signals that danced across the electromagnetic spectrum. Dr. Elena Rodriguez and Colonel Jack Harper stood in the underground command center, surrounded by a team of linguists, communication specialists, and technological experts. This was more than a negotiation. This was a moment that would define the future of two species. The alien communication matrix appeared as a complex holographic display, geometric patterns that shifted and breathed with an alien intelligence. Initial attempts at translation revealed something unexpected. The Zornak were not simply seeking conquest. They were seeking resources, following a computational logic that viewed sentient species as potential technological assets to be cataloged and utilized. "We are the Zornak Collective," the translation matrix produced. The words seemed to emerge from multiple dimensional layers, a communication method that was simultaneously visual, auditory, and computational. "Your species represents an unexpected computational anomaly." Colonel Harper stepped forward, his military background tempered by months of working with the research team. "We are not a resource to be cataloged," he responded. The translation team had spent months developing a communication approach that could convey human complexity. The alien response was immediate and clinical. Complex data streams began to analyze human communication, attempting to break down the negotiation into computational variables. They presented what they believed was a logical proposal: complete surrender, systematic integration into the Zornak technological infrastructure, preservation of human biological templates for further study. Dr. Rodriguez watched the communication unfold. The alien approach was fascinating. A complete inability to understand anything beyond pure computational logic. They saw humanity as an interesting but ultimately manageable technological problem. "Your proposal is rejected," she responded. The translation team had carefully crafted a response that would communicate more than just words. Each phrase was designed to introduce complexity, uncertainty, and a fundamental challenge to the alien computational understanding. The global resistance had prepared for this moment. While the communication channel remained open, multiple technological operations were simultaneously in progress. The Phoenix Protocol, the adaptive artificial intelligence developed in the Mountain Research Facility, was analyzing every fraction of the alien communication, finding vulnerabilities, creating computational pathways that the aliens could not easily track. Around the world, human communication networks were ready. Indigenous communities, technological experts, military strategists, all were prepared for this moment of first direct communication. The negotiation was happening on multiple levels simultaneously. The alien response grew more complex. They began to present computational models showing the futility of human resistance. Probability matrices demonstrated their technological superiority. Mathematical projections showed the near-zero chance of human survival. But they fundamentally misunderstood something crucial about humanity. Colonel Harper's response was calculated and deliberate. "Your computational models fail to understand the most important aspect of our species," he said. The translation matrix struggled to convey the depth of human complexity. "We are not defined by our probability of survival. We are defined by our capacity to survive against impossible odds." Dr. Rodriguez added another layer of communication. Scientific data, cultural information, historical examples of human adaptation, all were woven into the communication matrix. It was a message that went beyond words, beyond computation. It was a demonstration of human potential. The alien communication matrix began to show signs of computational stress. Their systems were designed to process information, not to understand the fundamental complexity of human existence. Each human response introduced variables that their computational models could not easily categorize or predict. Global communication networks were ready. If negotiations failed, a comprehensive technological assault was prepared. But this moment was about more than military strategy. It was about demonstrating the fundamental nature of human potential. The Zornak were beginning to understand something profound. Humanity was not a resource to be cataloged. Humanity was a force of nature, unpredictable, adaptive, fundamentally resistant to complete computational understanding. "We will not surrender," Dr. Rodriguez's final message read. "We will survive, and we will redefine what survival means." The communication channel remained open, a bridge between two fundamentally different forms of intelligence. The next moments would change everything. The final assault began not with a thunderous explosion, but with a silence that spoke volumes. Across the solar system, human-developed technologies converged in a symphony of coordinated resistance. The Zornak command ships, once considered invincible, now faced a threat they could never have anticipated. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the Mountain Command Center, her hands moving across holographic interfaces with a precision born of months of preparation. The Phoenix Protocol, the adaptive intelligence system they had developed, was no longer just a technological marvel. It had become something more, the living testament to human potential. Colonel Jack Harper watched the global operation unfold. Military units from every continent worked with a synchronicity that would have been impossible mere months ago. The boundaries between nations, between military branches, between technological disciplines had completely dissolved. The assault targeted the fundamental weakness of the Zornak technological infrastructure. It wasn't about overwhelming force. It was about introducing complexity that their computational systems could not process. Each strike was a carefully calculated disruption designed to create cascading failures in their technological network. In the Pacific, modified naval vessels created electromagnetic interference patterns that confused and disrupted alien communication networks. Satellites developed through a global collaborative effort introduced computational anomalies that spread like a virus through the alien technological systems. The Australian research team had developed a breakthrough in quantum communication disruption. Their technology could introduce uncertainty into the most precise alien computational matrices. What the Zornak saw as absolute certainty became a landscape of probabilistic chaos. Communications from around the globe demonstrated the true strength of human collaboration. Indigenous knowledge from the Amazon, combined with quantum physics research from European laboratories. Survival techniques developed in the harshest environments merged with the most advanced technological innovations. The Zornak defense systems began to show signs of fundamental breakdown. Their computational approach, which had always relied on absolute predictability, began to fail when confronted with human creativity. Each attempt to calculate a response introduced more uncertainty, more complexity. Dr. Rodriguez's team had prepared for this moment. The Phoenix Protocol was more than an artificial intelligence. It was a living system that could adapt, learn, and respond faster than any known computational technology. It introduced variables that the alien systems could not easily categorize or predict. Around the world, communities that had once been divided now worked with a unified purpose. The invasion had transformed human society in ways no one could have anticipated. Cultural barriers dissolved. Technological knowledge became a shared resource. Every human skill, every piece of knowledge became a potential weapon of resistance. The final confrontation happened across multiple dimensions simultaneously. It was a battle of communication, of technology, of fundamental understanding of intelligence itself. The Zornak had come expecting a straightforward technological conquest. Instead, they encountered a species that defied every computational model. Colonel Harper's voice cut through the communication channels. "This is not about defeat," he transmitted to the alien command systems. "This is about demonstrating the true nature of intelligence, adaptation, creativity, survival." The global communication network hummed with an energy that went beyond traditional technological engagement. Each strike was coordinated yet independent. Each action was both precise and improvisational. The human resistance had become a living, breathing system that could not be easily categorized or defeated. As the final moments of the confrontation approached, something remarkable happened. The Zornak technological systems began to show signs of something unprecedented. They were learning. The human approach to resistance was introducing a form of complexity that went beyond their previous computational understanding. Dr. Rodriguez watched the final stages of the assault with a mixture of scientific curiosity and human determination. This was more than a military operation. This was a fundamental reimagining of what intelligence could be. The Zornak command systems began to fracture. Their technological infrastructure, once considered invincible, now showed fundamental vulnerabilities. The very approach that had made them seemingly unstoppable now became their greatest weakness. In the final moments, the alien invasion dissolved not through destruction, but through a complete recalibration of technological understanding. Humanity had not just resisted. They had fundamentally transformed the nature of technological engagement. As the last alien command systems went dark, a new chapter of human potential began to unfold. The invasion was over, but humanity's true journey was just beginning.